Just one more minute.
This never would have happened if Cody was here.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Inside comments.
We are live. We are live now.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's call the meeting to order. And just a comment before we actually convene the meeting. I'm one of the major offenders on this, but if we would all speak a little bit more slowly and clearly, it's so much better once we review things on the YouTube. So, Teresa, will you please call the roll?
Yes, sure. Ms. Joycelyn Virgo. Here. Mr. Gordon Cook.
Here.
Mr. Bob Johnson.
Here.
Mr. Michael Lazio.
Here.
Ms. Lori Lemunion. Ms. Joycelyn Virgo. Here. Dr. Yummy Pandolfi. Here. Mr. Brent Schondelmeyer.
Here.
Ms. Noel Stepp.
Here.
Ronald Thies.
Here.
Ms. Rita Weiss. Here. Dr. Susan Wilson. Here. Ms. Michelle Whitehawk. We have a form.
Okay, thank you.
Michelle is the other person.
And for those who wish, we could have a pledge allegiance.
United States of America.
To the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Art. Our first matter on the agenda is to approve the agenda itself. One thing I was thinking of, I noticed in the past, once we had actually started the vote, there were requests to have a roll call vote instead of just a voice acclamation. So once we have a motion, a second to this under discussion, I think that'd be a time, if anybody wants to have a roll call vote or a voice vote, I think it'd be helpful if we have that expressed at that time. So if we could have a motion to approve the agenda. Thank you. Second.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Any discussion? All right, all in favor of approving the agenda, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Thank you. Any opposed? Abstaining. The next matter is the consent agenda that includes the previous meetings minutes and our expense reports. Might take a second to review that for those who wish, and then have a motion to approve it.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Thank you. Second.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All right, all in favor of approving our consent agenda, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Abstaining, thank you.
Words and recognitions.
I just got a text from Lori. They have a letter in the meeting. She's trying to get in.
I just got in. Thank you. I just got in. Thank you, Cody.
All right. Is it my turn?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, we do have one award to give today to Trustee Schondelmeyer, who will be moving along at the end of this month, if I'm not mistaken. Or, yes. But nonetheless, Brent Schondelmeyer has spent 20 years on our board. He served as the board's president, vice president, treasurer, fundraising chair, building chair, and it says among others. Yes. His tenure has stretched from the early struggle to provide book drafts to the realization of new bases we are now finishing. Brent's been a tireless advocate for the people of the library district. We truly appreciate your service. I will tell a little story that Brent was not on the hiring committee. And I only knew his face and just a little bit of a bio that I had read. And so then I I come to Missouri and we meet for a dinner at Whitney. This fellow shows up and dominates the conversation with all of these hardball questions.
I was a ninja.
He did, but really thoughtful questions. And it was evident from that dinner and all my interactions with him past them that he was truly invested in the library and believes in our mission. And so one can only hope that we get someone half as great as him to fill his shoes. We're very appreciative of his service. And definitely his fingerprints are all over the many new branches that we've opened. And Brent, sad to see you go, but we know that you are hearing. We're very thankful for all that you've done for the library. It means a lot to us. And as a small token of our appreciation, we have this fabulous award, which you can put in your glass case at home. But nonetheless, so I will give this to you. I don't know if there's some sort of official way that I'm supposed to do it. But, anyway.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. All right.
All right. Scoot over just a little bit further. Okay. Okay. 1, 2, 3. There. Okay, very good. Check for 0.
And that is the only award we're giving today.
Okay, our next matter is the financial reports.
Page, so the page of financial highlights. I think we have visitors' comments.
Are there any visitors' comments?
No, there is none, but there are some, couple letters in your. I did include a couple.
Okay, Brian, can you show that page of financial highlights? Okay, the first page shows the total amount of tax revenues we have received for the whole fiscal year. The amount is $61.9 million, which is about $600,000 lower than last year. This reduction is expected, but it's still $700,000 more than budgeted. The next page is a snapshot of the operating fund. The total amount of operating revenue is close to $57.4 million. That's 2.4 percentage points above the budget. On the expenditure side, we spent about $33.6 million, 99% of the budget. For library materials, that's close to $7 million, over 95% of the budget. Library operations, that's $9.5 million, over 89.5% of the budget. So the total amount of expenditures is over $54 million, 96.5% of the budget. In addition, we also have a net investment income about $1.1 million. That number includes $900,000 in interest income we received and about $200,000 for the market value adjustment. Next page is the debt service fund. After 2 payments we made in the fiscal year, the ending balance, the principal balance, is a little over $55 million. Next page is the capital project fund. That's a summary of the 3 major capital projects we have. The first one is the Reading Rocket. There was a delay in delivery, so we did not complete that project. Half of the budgeted amount we will spend in the new fiscal year. The second one is the security cameras for Winnie's, and we completed that project under $70,000, which is below 10% below the budget. For capital improvement plans, we spent over $18.9 million for all those projects we're working on it, and the budget is $19.8 million. A more detailed analysis is in the board docs. Next page is the health insurance fund. The total amount of contribution from both employee and employers is about $3.8 million. That's a match to the budget. On the expenses side, the administrative cost is about $121,000, and the stop loss insurance is a little over $1 million. Medical claims is about $2.6 million, for a total amount of about $3.8 million. That's 92% of the budget. And at the end of the fiscal year, the total amount of cash on hand is $1.5 million. The fund balance is $1.2 million. Based on the current fund balance policy, the minimum fund balance required a little over $700,000, and the maximum amount allowed is $1.1 million. The last one is a quick overview of the tax assessment we received. That's preliminary tax assessment. The final assessment will come in late September. For Jackson County, the total amount is $12.1 billion. That's about 27% higher than last year's for both real and personal property. Clay County, little over $6 billion, 12.7% higher than last year. Bragg County is $3.6 billion, 10.3% higher than last year. Add them up, the total assessment is close to $21.9 billion, close to 20% higher than last year. For new construction, it's decreased by 36% from last year, and the TIF increased by 24.6% of the budget from last year. So based on those numbers, my estimate for tax levy is about 30.6 cents compared to 32.4 cents for the last year. With the 30.6 cents, we may still receive close to $67 million, 13% more than last year. Also, at the end of the fiscal year, we contacted all three counties to see the total amount of delinquent tax revenue, the outstanding tax due to the library. The total amount is about $3.5 billion. And we believe the collection rate is about 51%. So the net after commissions to the county collection office is close to $1.8 million to the library. That's my report for the month.
Not too old or unfinished business. We have our committee reports. The first one is our nomination committee.
I'm up. Okay, if you recall, committee met in May and June. Reported at the last meeting that the current slate of officers was the consensus of the committee. And just to refresh, we discussed the history. We looked at the situation. Again, the thought continuity, everybody on the committee, which was and myself, that there should be continuity of the officers because we have a new director. So it was approved unanimously that we keep the current slate. So that shows Ron Thewis as president, Michael Lazio as vice president, Robert Johnson as treasurer, and Teresa obviously as secretary. So the process is that I'll open the floor for nominations. If there are none, then we'll make a motion to approve the slate. If there are nominations for the individual positions, then we'll take each of the positions separately. Is that correctly? So I will open the floor for nominations for if you want to nominate others for any of the positions, please do so now. Okay, hearing none, I would ask for a motion to close nominations and the second.
So moved. Second.
Any further discussion? And all in favor, aye?
Excuse me. I just had a couple of things that I'd like to say. I appreciate the efforts of the nominating committee, and I appreciate wanting to keep the same slate of officers, given we have a new director. However, I think something this board should keep in mind is that we do actually have a fully constituted board of very capable individuals that could work with our new director quite well. We are a board of 12 individuals with equal responsibilities, and I think that kind of model can work well even when there are changes. I think it's important to note that we've had two seasons with the same county. We are a 3-county system. And I also would like to note that it's been a long, long time since Platte County has had any leadership and at the president level on this board. As a matter of history, and I'm not saying we should go back to this, but this board has had a history of passing leadership around because new ideas, new way of doing things can also help. It's not necessarily a detriment. I do believe that we need to remember, I don't need to remind everybody that Jackson County does represent half or more than half of the population and income for the library system. But given that, I just wanted to state those facts. I think that our current slate has done a good job. This is not any kind of slight against them. I just think that we need to remember that we are a 3-county system and we're a body of 12 appointed individuals with equal responsibility and charge in carrying out the duties of our library system. Thank you.
This is Michelle. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I would just like to add to that. The
Michelle.
committee was, and I. Can you hear?
Michelle, you're breaking up a little bit.
Is that in that?
This is Noelle. Can I ask a question while Michelle's figuring out her sound?
Sure. Go ahead.
This is the second time I have heard the reference to Jackson County making up a larger proportion of our patronage. My understanding has always been, and this is why I'm asking, I want someone to correct me if I'm wrong. My understanding has always been that the board is equally represented, that it's not about Jackson County having more people or more libraries, that the board is supposed to represent all 3 counties. So if that is the truth, if that is how it's supposed to be, why do we keep mentioning that Jackson County has more people?
The, go ahead.
I think in response to that, what I would say is, there's a lot of things that were developed so-called the way they were supposed to be. But as you look critically at a structure or a system, questions arise. And what we don't want to get into is a situation of taxation without adequate representation. Because if one county is kicking in a lot more money and has a lot more constituents, it is important to examine the question, and I understand this is codified in law, but laws are made to be revised, and I'm not saying we're going to do that right now, but I'm just trying to respond to your question. We can't always go on the way things always were or used to be when you critically examine some elements of how things work. And I think that's our job as board members, to critically examine.
This is Michelle. I apologize. I'm sorry, I'm in a really bad spot, but I moved outside. Let me know when I can talk.
No, go ahead, Michelle.
The committee that did the nominating was in complete agreement of what we did. That includes Ms. Wilson, myself, Mr. Cook. We were in complete agreement of the choices that we did. There wasn't any, we all had the same opinion. When I was a new board member years ago, when Woodmeath was being built, I remember specifically making a comment about something about Clay County, and I was immediately put in my place by you, Joycelyn, that this is not about Clay County. This isn't about any kind, that we were a one unit, that we had 3 counties that all put in. I'm just gonna suggest, and I apologize as an airplane's flying over, that this isn't the place to be making, I mean, if we wanna make these kind, we put in more money, then I'm gonna suggest that those people that are upset with we put in more money and we do this and we do that and this taxation without representation, then you use your political capital to go down to Jefferson City and you start making those changes. I'll be happy to go and fight on the other side of it, how it's been, how it's always been. We've done, this happened well before us, but it's disrespectful to all of us. That's how it's been for a while, and that's how it was developed. But if that's what you want to do, then go ahead and please start it. But I'm going to call the question.
I think I deserve an opportunity to respond to that because I think I've been misunderstood. May I respond to that? And I think this is a discussion for a later discussion. I wanted to put that here because if you are, I think it is about the people. And I think this is totally in line with what I've said for years. I think the people should be represented, and the way we are currently constituted is a bit lopsided. And I'm not saying to run down to Jeff City and change it. I'm not saying that we should change how it's always been. I'm just saying that we should be mindful of that, and we should operate in the best interest of all of our counties. That's what I've been saying. But we can go ahead and move on from that position, that topic, because I don't think that's what we're here to do. I just wanted to ask this board to be mindful. Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna go here. Okay, just a refresher, it is codified. The statutes are very clear. The representation is equal among the counties. There are 4 board members with equal votes. The other thing I would offer is looking at revenues only, or population only. presents one picture. If you want to do a full cost accounting analysis, then I think we have to take and look at all the expenses, how they're allocated. We need to take Prop L and see how that money was spent. So when you talk about distribution of voting interest, are you going to come up with a different answer than you have right now? Okay. My guess is Jackson County, I haven't done math. Jackson County probably gets somewhere close to half, if not more than half of the expenditures. And obviously, some of those can't be directly attributed to a specific county. They're done for the group as a whole. So I appreciate the discussion, but I think it's outside the scope of this meeting and this agenda item. We're going to take up this, let's do it at a different session. And if we need to have a separate session to talk about it, then I would suggest we do that. Brent?
I just want to, I have no desire to be a board officer. So I just want to say, for a point of information, when I came on the board, there was a practice that it just rotated from county to county. So it went from, Clay to Platte to Jackson. And then so there was this rotating around. And so some of us on the board at that point says, well, different kind of leadership is needed at different times in the point of the system. And so that's why that got changed. So it's just a matter of kind of like a rotating thing that went around. I've promoted, so Michelle is very, very clear that I've always promoted the idea it's a consolidated library district, and I have as much obligation to Dearborn as I do to Edgerton. I appreciate the work in the nominating committee, and I will be voting for the ticket.
Okay, the motion and second are on the floor. So I'd like to take a vote as to closing nominations. We want to roll call.
We have a first read of first, and then Dr. Kendall, please take a second vote to
Close nominations. Yes. So do you want to do that in roll call or just raise your hand?
Yes, for roll call.
Okay, do a roll call, please.
Miss Joyce Virgo,
Aye.
Mr. Gordon Cook,
Aye.
Mr. Bob Johnson,
Aye.
Mr. Michael Fazio,
Aye.
Ms. Lori Lemunion,
Yes.
Dr. Yummy Pandolfi,
Aye.
Mr. Brent Schottenmeyer, Ms. Noel Stepp,
Aye.
Ms. Karama Thies,
Yes.
Ms. Rita Weiss,
Aye.
Dr. Susan Wilson,
Aye.
Ms. Michelle Whitehall.
Aye.
Okay, so the next matter of business then is to elect officers. The recommendation to the full board is that the following individuals be elected to serve as the board officers effective as of this meeting or after we take the vote. And those individuals are Ronald Davis for president, Michael Lazio for vice president, Robert Johnson as treasurer, and Teresa Johnson as secretary. And we will vote that as a slate. And that is the motion. So I need a second on that. Brent, second. Okay. If you'll take roll. All right. Sorry. Any further discussion? Please take roll.
Ms. Michelle Whitehall,
Aye.
Ms. Joyce Virgo,
Aye.
Mr. Gordon Cook,
Aye.
Mr. Bob Johnson,
Aye.
Mr. Michael Lazio,
Aye.
Ms. Lori Lemunion,
Yes.
Dr. Yummy Pandolfi,
Aye.
Mr. Brent Schottenmeyer, Ms. Noel Stepp,
Aye.
Mr. Ronald Thies, Ms. Rita Weiss,
Aye.
Dr. Susan Wilson.
Aye.
Here, stand.
The next matter is the personnel committee report.
I want to pause and congratulate the people who agreed to serve again. So it's important, it's not, doesn't come without considerations and consequences. So
There is a time commitment. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Is there a report from the personnel committee? I know they have
Yeah.
a large block of the new business, but any old business?
Yes. Yes, thank you, Mr. Thews. We have, the Personnel Committee met, and we went over 5 amendments to our, and additions to our board policy. These adjustments are needed in order to match our policy with our practice and to update for changes that have happened. So it should be pretty straightforward. Any impact, any financial impact is noted as Jennifer and Aaron will go through. It is important to keep our policies up to date and accurate, and that's what this is. So at this point, I will turn it over to, I'll turn the explanation of each one, and we have to go through each one individually because there are different policy changes. So I'll turn this over to Aaron and Jennifer.
An hour later.
We'll get into them in depth under new business. But that was a great overview, and get into the weeds in a minute.
Okay. Other than that, we have nothing else.
Okay, thank you. Finance Committee.
Okay, Finance Committee met last Thursday. We had a long agenda. The first item that you have in front or on your agenda is the Prop L RFP responses that were, the request was sent out at the end of May, right? And it was sent to several firms and posted. We have one response, and the committee discussed it. We're evaluating and we're going to have some discussions with the firms that didn't respond and just get some feedback, and we tabled the matter until the next finance meeting. Okay. Second thing was to talk about cash flow status. As you know, we have a deficit in the cash back to the capital fund, and the fact that the bonds were invested in longer durations. We can sell those bonds and take a capital loss, or we can ride out this situation by using the operating fund. And as you recall, we voted and approved borrowing from the central bank, which we'll talk about. The Quan, do you have a page to update? Is there anything on board? Well, it's not on board docs. I think the approval was for $8 million to borrow from central bank. And the way the cash flow is looking, it's going to be south of $5 million in terms of the net deficit by the end of November. So it's they have reworked some of the expenses that used to be paid up front and spread those either quarterly or semi-annually. So the borrowing requirement will be less, which means the interest will be less. So anyway, that is proceeding.
Can I ask a quick question on that? Do you have an estimate of what the interest cost will be?
Take $4 million for 3 months at 6.25. So $1 million, so 60, 70, 80,000. We budgeted 250. I didn't ask me.
I understand the need to do it. I just think it would be important to have monthly reports on when we borrow, how much we had to borrow, what the carrying costs are, what the interest are. We're tracking many other things, and this is a whole new expenditures. And so to the degree that the finance committee and or the staff can reduce when we have to draw it and how much we have to draw it can have some measurable impact on the amount that we have to pay.
No, I agree. So. Okay, the next item on the agenda is the transfer from the general fund to the capital fund. We budgeted $9 million. If you go back into the financial statements on board docs under the finance committee, you'll see that the inter-fund balance is a little over. Get this.
18.5.
There's 18.5 million. This covers half of the inter-fund balance. There's no cash that will that will be transferred as strictly bookkeeping entry between the two funds. And again, this will resolve itself over the course of the next 2 to 3 years as we work out of the duration issue on the bond funds. So the motion to the board is to approve the transfer of $9 million from the general fund to the capital project fund as is based on the current year 23-24 budget. That's the motion.
Second.
Any further discussion? Can we just take a, raise your hand? So do I do that or you do that? Huh?
It's hard to raise your hand online.
So all
Can
in
we have a
favor,
roll
aye?
call for those of us who are online? Can we have a roll call vote?
Teresa, we do a roll call.
Ms. Joycelyn Virgo,
Aye.
Gordon Cook,
Aye.
Mr. Bob Johnson,
Aye.
Mr. Michael Lazio,
Aye.
Ms. Lori Lemunion,
Aye.
Dr. Yemi Pandolfi,
Aye.
Brett Stoppenmeyer,
Aye.
Ms. Noel Step,
Aye.
Ron Mathieu,
Aye.
Ms. Rita Weiss,
Aye.
Dr. Susan Wilson,
Aye.
Ms. Michelle Whitehall.
Aye.
Okay.
Motion passed.
Thank you. Okay, the next item that was discussed was the Forbes disbursement report. There's nothing, I put this on the agenda just so we didn't lose sight of it. There are some items that were resolved very quickly. Aaron and staff continue to work on some of the other pieces that are on the plate, and we will continue to address those in the finance committee meeting, but I don't think there's anything that requires board action. So I just want to make sure you're aware that we're still, that's still an item under discussion and oversight. 611, we just talked about the central bank loan was approved. That is an $8 million 1-year line of credit at 6.25%. Fees are $2,500, and it will be used as is needed. I think Quan stated at the finance meeting that would probably be paid off before the end of the calendar year. So that's, I think you said there's the paperwork to get done and that's it.
Yes.
Okay. All right. The other matter, then 6.12 is the audit. The audit will commence here shortly. It will continue into early September, and then we'll have the audit report for the September board meeting and the auditors present. So that's just the schedule, so you're aware of that. And then the last thing we talked about was the levy process and the timing. I'm referring back to Quan's schedule of the assessed values for each of the counties. The levy process is we'll receive we do have the preliminary information. Obviously, if everything is on schedule, which hard to tell at this point, whether that would be the case, we would have final numbers by early September. Quan will do the calculations on the levy. That then gets certified at the state level or county.
We all sent the board's resolution to the county. Then county will forward to state auditor's office for certification.
So it goes to the board for you. All right, I got my order out of order. Anyway, so that happens in September. The drop dead date on that is September 30th, when we have to have it in the mail to as a final calculation. That's it.
Good, thank you. Building committee?
I think we're going to tag team this. I think there's some slides, at least in the printed booklet that I have, that shows that, and we can look at them quickly. I want to introduce you to Steve Thompson. He was appeared to us on a flat screen, last time we got together, and here he is in person. And the way you should think of him, he's the owner's representative. He's advocating on our behalf with monitoring our new construction projects, and our new construction projects are East Independence. I happened to go by there this morning. I was out that way, and Riverside, and Michael Lazio said he was by there this morning and checking on that. But us checking on it is not as important or consequential as Steve Thompson checking on it, and because in some senses it requires a technical ability and a focus and the ability to read architectural drawings, and we have been well served by the services that they have provided to date. And that's what I would say. Aaron might have something he wants to add. Steve might have something that he wants to add. But these projects, I can speak directly to East Independence. I was out there. I couldn't even remember when I was out there. I remember it was early in the morning, and and we were all there, and there was some gravel and, a slab and, now there's a real superstructure there in a building. And, when you have focus and you're able to mobilize labor and you have a real plan, you'd be surprised with the progress that can be made. But that's me just looking at it and not putting on a hard hat and walking through the job site. So I defer to Aaron, I defer to Steve if there's something that they want to add.
Thanks, Brent. Just update the board on North Oak and Green Valley. I mean, North Oak is moving along. There's still a bit of work to do there, but things are going according to plan. Green Valley 2 is progressing as planned. I just want to make a note about Green Valley. It's a great example of how it's all hands on deck here. There were some hurdles that we encountered. Brian Gash from our IT department stepped in and helped, and fortunately they've been resolved. But again, I just want to assure the board that everyone on this team is paying very close attention to these 4 remaining projects. And to speak specifically about Riverside and East Independence, I've invited Steve here. We did a walkthrough on Monday, and it was very interesting. Of course, as Brent said, he notices quite a bit of stuff that I've noticed. But I've invited Steve here to give us a brief overview on our progress to this point. And Steve, if you're happy to, you're welcome.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Yes. Riverside, the 2 challenges that came early in that project with this about 15 feet of unsatisfactory soil that was sitting under the existing quick trip that was there. They installed 500, I think, vibratory stone columns. Basically drill a hole, pour some rock in, vibrate it its way out, and it's like setting on a bunch of caissons. It's very, very, very sturdy place now. They've had some issues with a wide easement for petroleum and gasoline pipelines. We've managed to resolve all of those. I think we're still tweaking the monument sign footing, but everything else has been worked out. They have completed all the foundation work. They finished last week. This week they've been putting in all the underground plumbing lines and conduit underneath the building slab. Continuing this week, the low voltage will go 4 boxes around underneath, and then they're planning to pour the slab on grade main floor for the entire library on Monday, weather permitting. In East Independence, the steel erection is all complete. Sheathing is all around the building. If you go by, it's all purple now. And they've completed the blocking around the perimeter of the roof, and they'll be putting down the water barrier insulation, and the roofing will start next week. Also, in the week after, I'm told that they'll be bringing the first semi-full brick. So we're actually going to start getting the building enclosed. Other than that, it's on schedule. The weather, the days we've had is just takes a day away from the weather allowance that's built into the schedule at the end. So there's no concern about scheduling or anything else. Things are going very well on both projects. Do you have any questions?
I will just remind everyone that part of their scope of work is that PMC is also involved with pay app review and managing of the budget of these projects. And they've been present all along the way. And East Independence is, we've added back in a back patio, which was initially pulled out, but I think will still remain inside budget. And I'm happy that patio is being installed.
It'll be a remarkable space. Beautiful trees around it.
All right, well, thank you, Steve.
One last thing, I would truly be remiss on this occasion if I didn't thank the people who served on the building committee. I mean, it's been a lot of conversations, a lot of projects, a lot of, do we swap land, do we trade land, do we negotiate, and what it is that it looks like. And so you can drive around and there's a portfolio of library projects or library buildings that heretofore would have not be as attractive or not be as accommodating as what they are today. So that's a lot of staff work. That's a lot of, but also board work, because a lot of important conversations occur in that, and not everybody who participated in those conversations is in the room today. Those who are in the room today, I want to personally thank you. And those who aren't, I'll give them a call.
Yeah, agreed. Okay.
On the fundraising committee?
We held our ninth annual legacy luncheon on Friday. We had a 267 people attend, about 40 retirees. So that was a nice turnout for retirees. During that event, we honored 2 employees with awards and 1 community partner. So we will have a full recording of that event available probably early next week. And I will pass that on to Teresa to share with the board if you're interested in watching that. And we did use our space at Midwest Genealogy Center. So that was a really nice thing for us to be able to do just in terms of event prep. And so we're really grateful to have that space to work in. So thank you all for that. Thanks to all who hosted tables and attended. We're very appreciative of your support. And we have a foundation board meeting coming up. We meet Friday, August 18th at 9:30 at Green Hills. If any of you would like to join, we'd be happy.
Thank you. Just to comment on the legacy luncheon, it was absolutely a fantastic time, and thank you and your colleagues for doing a fantastic job. It's just wonderful. Next, technology committee. Fine.
Yeah, this is Lori. I talked with Brian and we delayed our meeting and we will be skipping our August meeting, and there will be a presentation in the September meeting more for technology.
Thank you.
All right. You all have your MCPL monthly here. It's a wonderful addition this year, and I'm not going to go through it line by line, but I have to mention just this magnificent story at the end, which is our patron, Sue A. Is that her name? Catherine A. Who was a Navy nurse, and she is 102 years old. She received wonderful assistance at our South Independence branch. She loves mysteries, so long as they're not too violent. But this story probably, if I could do it all over, would be on the front page, because it's a testimony to how relevant we are in the community, and also the extent of our reach. People of all ages. I often talk about young people, but here we have a patron that's 102 years young and still actively using the library. That means a lot to me, and we're very appreciative of the work of the people at South Independence. So I'll let you all take a look at the rest of it. There's a lot of good information in there, but we have a guest speaker today. Last month, I spoke a little bit about the significance of summer learning program and our commitment to young people during the summer months. And I've invited Katie McDonald to give us a short presentation and update on summer reading. Katie, you're welcome to join us at the podium.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for the invitation. I have the pleasure of being the youth services manager here at the library, and we are having an awesome year so far, and I'm excited to talk to you all about our summer program. A little bit of background on me. I've worked for the library since 2005 and have had a lot of wonderful positions throughout the library. I've been in my current role since 2020, and it's definitely my favorite one so far. So I am super excited to talk to you all about that. On the screen, you can see I've got lots of lovely pictures, so that's my favorite part of a presentation every time. So these are some 6th grade prize winners from the Edgerton branch. All right, next slide, please. Our goals for our program every year are to create a community of readers. One thing we really believe in is that everybody in our community has the opportunity to engage in literacy. The summer is a wonderful time to do that. We feel like creating that habit of reading 20 minutes a day, which I'll talk a little bit more about, really helps everyone in our community model that. And when the young people of our community see reading, that has a really big impact on their choice to be a reader as well. We also love to foster a great environment for reading throughout our community. and have a positive relationship with the library. It's a great time for us to reach out to our community partners who are excited about literacy and make those connections over the summer. And this is a wonderful picture of our Green Hills Library Center. You all probably are familiar with that space, but all of those little symbols up there on the window that looks out over the patio are readers this year. So all of those represent children who have earned their prizes so far this summer. So that's great to see. The next slide, please, Brian. So a quick overview of our program. If you're not familiar, it runs from June 1st to August 24th. And it focuses on that daily habit of reading 20 minutes a day for 20 days. And then our kids and teens can come in and earn a prize. They can do that 3 times over the summer. And if they do that all 3 times over the summer, they get entered into some of our grand prize drawings. We have some wonderful community partners as well that offer us some drawings for tickets to great places around our community, like B&B Theaters, the Zoo, Royals. So lots of great stuff to get involved in over the summer. On the slide there, you can see our paper log that we have. There's 2 ways that you can log your reading over the summer. The first one is through our Beanstack app, and then our second one is through a paper log. We know that accessibility to the program is a really vital part. And by the way, it's really fun to put your stickers on as you read throughout the summer to see your progress. That's been really great. We've heard a lot from our community that they've loved to be able to put that up on the fridge or somewhere special in their space and see how they're reading across the summer. So yeah, we really appreciate marketing's efforts to work with us to create a functional log that our communities loved. And then of course, promotion. We spend a lot of time getting out and spreading the word about this really important program. We did 20 kickoff events throughout our community this summer. This picture is highlighting one of the projects they worked on at the Withers branch. It is a community quilt. So they made that at that program. Every child kind of decorated their square, and then they put that together to create an art piece. And that's up in the Withers branch. If you have an opportunity to go see it, it's really fun to see. There are several branches that did that activity. I see them if you visit the branches. We also, like I said, reach out to our community partners to promote the program. And then there are some high need areas that we really specifically target. Some of those are our summer schools, which I'll talk a bit about that progress this year. And then there are also some daycares that we specifically reach out to make sure we have a strong partnership over the summer with those communities. All right, next slide, please. All right, how are things going? Really, really well. We have over 11,600 active readers in our Beanstack. So those are the folks that are doing the digital tracking. And we also have some paper log users. We have over 1,500 paper log users that have turned in for at least their first prize. And we have awarded over 9,448 prizes so far. And that number has actually increased since I made this slide because people are coming in and getting their books every single day. So that is wonderful to see. 16% of our users are paper log users so far this year. So that has been really great to see. I'm glad we have that access point for our customers. And then you can't resist an animal program picture. We have some wonderful kids enjoying the animal program at the Platte City branch there. All right, next slide, please. And just to offer a little bit of comparison of how this year is stacking up against last year and kind of what it looks like so far. Of course, our program goes throughout the summer and they can earn their prizes throughout the entire summer. So potentially later in August, we're going to get a big rush of people as well. So just keep that in mind with this report. But we've had over 11,000 20-day active readers. On day 20, we have given out over 2,000 prizes. And then previously last year, we were pretty much right around that, a little higher last year. And then pretty on pace at the 40-day mark. So we've made it past July 10th for our 40-day mark. So we're doing pretty good. We're pretty on pace. We're a little off on that, but we're curious if maybe those are paper log users that haven't made their way in to pick up their prizes yet. So we're very optimistic that it's going good so far. All right, next slide, please. And then I'm excited to talk to you a little bit about our community partner participation. This is a very intentional part of our program. program. We reach out and work in our higher need areas. We recognize that not everybody has the ability to come into our branches and participate. And sometimes when folks are having those kinds of barriers, the library needs to meet their needs the most throughout the summer. So we have intentionally partnered with several school districts throughout our area based on like where their reading scores are sitting and the impact we think we can have in partnership. And we have given out over 5,496 prize books through the summer school program this year. It's a little bit lower than what we were able to provide in 2022. And then we also, like I said, look out for those high need daycare areas as well. I'm partnered with them, and we are significantly lower on the daycare prizes earned this year. We're at 1,800. We do have more statistics coming in every week on that as well. But I did just want to note that those numbers are a little bit lower, and that's because our pacing hasn't really kept up with our book price increases. So that's what you're seeing reflected there. We definitely wanted to hold our promise to any kid that walked through our doors. And so we made sure we had great funding for the branch prizes, but we weren't able to continue to expand that at this time. All right, and then this is a wonderful picture featuring our friends Reese and Becky at the Antioch branch. They were delivering prizes to the Davison Elementary School booker. So that is just a little snapshot of our program, and I am excited to hopefully come back here in a few months and tell you how it all wrapped up and give you a little snapshot of how it all ended, because there's lots of more to go for this story. But we super appreciate you having me today. Do you have any questions for me?
Good job.
Oh, thank you.
Just a comment in closing. This really is one of the more impactful and meaningful programs, if not the most impactful program that we do on an annual basis. It connects with a lot of people, and if done poorly, it affects future attendance. So anytime you meet an avid library user, they will often say, I have this memory of summer reading club in 19 whatever. And I'm very confident that Katie and her team and branch staff all throughout the system are giving new users that quality experience this day. And fortunately, or hopefully, they stick with us throughout the years. So it's just a wonderful program, and I recognize how heavy lift it is logistically, and I appreciate all your efforts. So thank you.
Thank you. Many, many hands are going to the wonderful contributions that you see here. So any accolades goes really to the entire system. This is an all hands on deck project every year. So Thank you for the opportunity to be here. I appreciate it.
I'd just like to add, great job.
Oh, thank you.
Great job.
I really appreciate it. It's my honor to do the job. Thank you.
Yeah, I might just mention too that I was doing a combined errand run to Menards as well as Green Hills. I stopped in at the library branch, and it was just absolutely electrifying. There was a literally wall-to-wall experience of preschoolers and their adult guardians. And you could just tell there was a dynamism there with the kids being excited, and just an incredibly, just wonderful experience to see. And the way out, what really struck me, there was a young dad talking to one of his kids. He said, no, you can only take 5 books. So it works. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, just in closing, we have 3 recognitions we'd like to make about our staff. First is Jessica Schmitz from the Colburn Road branch. She's a customer services associate, and she's been with us for 20 years. She's a diamond in the rough you always hear about. Over 20 years, she's held multiple roles at Mid-Continent, always adapting to new direction, opportunities, and challenges with creativity, courage, and steadfastness. And those are the words of Erin Davies. And thank you, Erin, for writing such a lovely quote about Jessica. Brian, can we skip the next slide and go to there? Sue, I'm going to save the best for last. We have Sue Prey here. She's a customer services associate at Green Hills Library Center. She's been with us for 20 years, and she recently celebrated by a Mid-Continent customer for exemplary service. The customer emailed us to say Sue made my aunt feel like she mattered and it was over the moon someone would be so kind. So that is the type of experience that we want people to have. And thank you, Sue, for your great work. And I bump into Sue every time I go to Green Hills. She's just a magnificent employee and I'm so grateful to have her on our team. Okay, so now we'll back up to the problem employee, Jennifer. Yeah, Jennifer's been with us for 20 years in a variety of roles, and she is now our human resources director. I wrote a quote here, which I mean, it's. But I'm not going to read it. I will just say though that Jennifer has this laser-like focus on improving the quality of our employees' lives, and she does it with grace. She's just the best HR director a system could ask for. I'm not trying to make you cry. But really, I mean, I say that to the board and I say that to all of our 816 employees. That fairness and wellness and equity are key priorities for Jennifer. Jennifer and our team work tirelessly every day to refine our processes to make sure that everyone is of equal benefit from the resources we have. So thank you, Jennifer. I hope you stick with us a little bit longer. Yeah. So anyway, so that's Jennifer. Yeah, another 20. Now, she's going to make us all hate her by going over the nitty gritty. Is that next? That concludes my report. So yeah, so now we're going to get into some minor tweaks we're making to our policies in regards to schools and a variety of other things, but I want to turn it over to her to kind of help walk us through these board policies changes that we're proposing. So.
Yeah, we just.
Sorry.
Doing that.
So we're gonna, we'll move that to the bottom.
Okay.
Yeah. So next slide.
Okay, yes, we're gonna do some very HRE things. I figured that's how I would celebrate 20 years of library was to come and bring some wonky HR corrections and adjustments to policy. The first one that we're gonna look at is board policy number 336, which is performance and salary review. And this is just a policy cleanup to reflect how we currently operate. Staff is recommending removing references to performance payments in this policy. We continue to do performance engagement, improvement, recognition, and staff development in a formal written model. However, we've entied it completely from pay increases or lump sum payments, which we haven't done for a minute, but we left that in there in case that becomes something that we do at some point. But those that are available in budgeted funds will continue to be applied based on objective measures, such as the market value of the position and the direct or relevant experience and tenure of the individual. So the current policy is on the document that was part of the board agenda with the changes there to omit the word performance in a couple of places. And the sentence that says a performance review does not always result in an automatic salary increase. Just to remove the reference that ties performance and pay. The replacement policy is there at the bottom that we are recommending as the amended board policy number 336. And then I don't know
where we go from here.
Okay.
The first reading.
Right. So this is a recommendation for these policy changes from our staff and from our HR director. For policies, we have this board uses a first and second reading process. This would be the first reading of the policy. We need a motion in a second, and then we can have a discussion about it. And then given how the discussion goes, we go for actually, I don't know if we really need a discussion on this, but if there are any, we'd have that. But if we need a first and second motion for this to go forward.
Second.
Okay, it's been first and seconded. Any questions? Should be pretty straightforward. Okay, hearing
There's no
none.
financial impact.
No, this is just a clarification to go with how we currently operate. Clean up, really.
As you see, as we go through this, Jennifer will note if there's any significant financial impact, but this is no financial impact. Most of these going forward will be basically to match our policies with our practice, given the changes we've made, given our, with our new director. So if there are no more questions, Teresa, can we have a roll call vote?
Ms. Jocelyn Virgo,
Yay.
Mr. Gordon Cook,
Aye.
Mr. Bob Johnson.
Aye.
Mr. Michael Lazio.
Aye.
Ms. Lori Lemunion,
Aye.
Dr. Young Pandolfi.
She's in the restroom.
No, I'm sorry. If I look up, I'm so sorry. Mr. Brent Meyer,
Aye.
Ms. Noel Step,
Aye.
Ms. Rita Weiss. Aye. Dr. Susan Wilson.
Aye.
Ms. Michelle Whitehoff. Brian, is Michelle still on the call?
No, it looks like she disconnected.
Thank you.
Okay, the next,
We have to
sorry.
wait for Dr. Pandolfi, or shall we? I don't know.
That's the pressure right off.
If that's recorded, can we?
Yeah, we can, yeah. It's whatever you.
I'll vote aye.
I'll just put her as not present after she's here, she's not present. So. Joyce, just so you know, Dr. Pandolfi stepped away for a second, so decided to vote, but the motion carries unanimously.
Okay,
Sorry,
thank you.
The next item is board policy number 340, holiday pay. Staff recommends adding Juneteenth on June 19th each year as a paid and closed holiday for MCPL. Juneteenth became an observed federal holiday in 2021. The current policy is there with the addition of Juneteenth with the revised policy that's being recommended as amended.
Yeah, there should be no financial impact on this. What this does is lines us up in our policies about federal holidays being observed. And it lines our policies up with the new, relatively new Juneteenth holiday. So I'll take a first and a second.
Did you say second, Dr. Wilson?
Yes.
It's been first and seconded. Any questions?
Oh, I do. I have a couple questions. I guess I'm not debating, questioning the holidays, and more interested in not something we have to vote, but who we're going to follow in terms of a business model. I pulled four of our 4 states, Iowa, Kansas, Missouri, Nebraska. Iowa has 9 holidays, Kansas has 9. Missouri has a bunch, including Truman Day, which I assume maybe that's a state government holiday. Nebraska has Arbor Day, which is a state government holiday. They don't all say they're closed. I think as I look at the list of holidays and think about our constituents and whether they would like to go to the library on some of these holidays, whether we should, at some point in the future, look at are we closing all these, or do you have floating days? I'm throwing that out on the table because I think as I look at businesses, not all businesses close on all these days. And I think most businesses are closed very few days anymore on holidays, and I'm not suggesting library do the same. My concern is that we follow the federal. If the federal decides to add more holidays, are we going to do the same thing, or do we kind of have a stopping point because it gets into total PTO time, when you look at sick time, vacation pay, and the holidays, there's a fair amount of time that someone can be gone. And obviously that time has to be staffed somewhere along the line with other resources. So that, I just put that on the table because I think that is my concern as I look forward on this.
Okay, I hear several questions in there, Gordon. First off, if we look at the state of Missouri and if we look at our surrounding library systems, they have all adopted the Juneteenth holiday. Many federal, we're a semi-governmental body, have adopted the Juneteenth holiday. As far as financial impact, I understand what you're saying. However, it does not really have a budgetary impact. And Jennifer or Aaron can speak more specifically to that, but as we look at how the holiday has been celebrated in the state of Missouri, which is the people we represent, it's been a very widely celebrated holiday. We have been looking at this for 2 years. We said we would revisit it, and it has become, I believe, a holiday that should be celebrated. But I don't know if Jennifer can answer any of your other questions.
Well, and again, Joyce, and just to be clear, I'm not questioning this holiday. My concern is broader in terms of the total PTO time for staff.
Understood.
That gets into, the days open. I know there's not a budget impact. Theoretically, you could close for a week out of a month, and there's no budget impact, other than maybe some air conditioning savings. But I'm speaking just from the standpoint of, who are we going to follow from a business model? And I don't know that we have to follow one or the other. I think we're a large enough entity that we do what makes sense for the people in the 3-county area. So,
understood. I was responding more to your first thing about.
I'm not questioning this holiday. I'm questioning just kind of the broad approach.
Yep. I was trying to answer your question, Gordon.
I'd like to
Any other questions? If there's none, we can move to a vote.
Yeah, I'd like to say something. I think it was brought up at the personnel meeting. Michelle was saying that the police, they do a rotating holiday so they can stay. Obviously, the police has to stay open. So that, I think that's something we can think about. And even if the holidays, sort of get out of hand and federal government, we have a lot more holidays, we could have people pick the ones they want to celebrate and have a cap on that or something. So just, I think some things to think about for the future that would really consider, the financial part.
Thank you, Yami. I don't know if you recall, but since it was instituted, we've had it as a rolling holiday. This is a recommendation to move it to a paid federal holiday within our system. Yeah, I'd like to move to a vote. If there are no objections to that, Teresa, can you do a roll call vote, please?
Absolutely. Ms. Joycelyn Virgo.
Yay.
Mr. Gordon Cook.
Aye.
Mr. Bob Johnson.
Aye.
Mr. Michael Lazio.
Aye.
Ms. Lori Lemunion.
Yes.
Dr. Yemi Pandolfi.
Aye.
Mr. Brent Schondelmeyer.
Yes.
Ms. Noel Stepp.
Aye.
Mr. Ronald Thieves.
Yes.
Ms. Rita Weiss.
Yes.
Dr. Susan Wilson.
Yes.
Ms. Michelle Wyckoff. I think she's off the line. Is Michelle there, Brian?
No, hi, she hasn't reconnected.
Okay, thank you. The motion passes unanimously.
She's having connection issues.
Okay, the next policy is board policy number 342, bereavement. Staff is recommending adding regular part-time employees to the list of staff eligible for bereavement pay with an estimated annual cost of $6,000 to $8,000. And that's the total cost for any part-time employee who takes bereavement pay. We do rely on our part-time employees to keep our building staffed all the hours that our members want to use our buildings. But they do encounter the same sort of life events that folks that work for us full-time and half-time do. The current policy is there with the adding of regular part-time to the first sentence and omitting the sentence that says non-exempt part-time employees may take unpaid bereavement leave. With the revised policy, amended policy there at the bottom of the document.
Okay, I'll take a first and second, then we'll take questions.
I first. This is Noel.
Do we have a second?
Yes, Dr. Wilson, second.
Okay, thank you. Any questions that you have about this particular piece?
I do. I can ask them. What? I don't see the days here. Is there a range?
Yeah, the current policy has several different categories of leave. So category 1 is your immediate family. So, and that would be spouse, parent, child. And that's the equivalent of 3 weeks that can be taken over the course of 6 months. So in order to accommodate all the things that go with losing someone in those categories that are not just the initial things that happen, but the business things that happen over time, whether it be, dealing with the dispensation of people's things or, those types of things, probate, whatever they have, that they can take that time. For a part-time employee, that would probably be around 45 hours total. The next category is when you get into siblings and parents-in-law, grandparents, and that's the equivalent of 1 week over the course of, say, 30 days. At that point, we dial it back. So, and then third category gets into siblings-in-law and aunts and uncles, and that's the equivalent of 2 days of leave. We do have a category for if you lose a colleague that works in your same department or location. We would pay for, an active employee. We would pay for staff to attend the funeral of that employee for a half day. And we also allow a day of bereavement leave if you lose a pet.
Any other questions?
We're not counting the squirrels and birds and things and deer. And from your backyard, that doesn't count.
That was really good. I've been quick with my camera at the hawk, grabbing the sparrow off the ground.
They have to be, you couldn't possibly allow in your home, but I guess you could allow a squirrel in your home.
So there's no change. There's no change to these days. It's just simply applying it to the part-time.
Correct.
So I have a question. This is Lori. So do they have an hour? Like if it's a part-time employee, is there like a number of hours? I know you said like a half day or
It would be what their average hours are. But we typically don't have to go too deep. It usually ends up being because if they're taking time off, they've likely already been scheduled. But when we're looking at paid time off for part-time in the past, and how we look at this is we look at an average number of hours. If they're taking a whole week, an average number of hours they have worked that person has worked.
Okay, thank you.
Our part-time employees are limited to 950 hours in a 12-month period. So.
Any other questions? Okay, Teresa, roll call vote, please.
Ms. Joycelyn Burgo,
Yay.
Mr. Gordon Cook,
Aye.
Mr. Bob Johnson.
Aye.
Mr. Michael Lassio.
Aye.
Ms. Lori Lemunion,
Yes.
Dr. Yemi Pandolfi,
Aye.
Mr. Brent Shonda Myers, Ms. Noel Step, Mr. Ronald Thieves, Ms. Rita Weiss,
Yes.
Dr. Susan Wilson,
Yay.
Ms. Michelle Whitehall. Motion carried.
The next policy is policy number 346, which is sick leave. We are doing the work to move to a biweekly payroll. Currently, we pay only once a month, and we've been discussing that move in order to accommodate that, to avoid confusion with accruals and to mostly to accommodate software. And when accruals are credited, staff recommends a revision to the policy that sets the accrual rate per hour of paid work instead of per month. This will allow, the current payroll and time system to work without any manual monitoring or override. The policy is there, which shows that full-time employees accumulate 8 hours of paid sick leave per month, half-time accumulate 4, and we are recommending omitting those and replacing it. And I have, since personnel committee, we did get more precise with that decimal calculation for how many hours per paid sick leave. Per paid hour of sick leave, that was, there's, as close as possible to that 96 or 48 hours a year. So 0.0461 hours of paid sick leave per paid hour, with the revised policy being there at the bottom. This will enable the credit to the accrual rate to take place at the beginning of each biweekly pay period.
So this would give everybody 12 days of sick leave?
That's what it currently does. And it's just, it's 8. No, 12 days. Yeah. It's 1 day a month. It's 8 hours of sick leave a month. But now it will accumulate, instead of just giving a straight 8 hours at the beginning of the monthly pay period. It will accumulate based on the number of hours paid in that previous pay period.
And what if they don't use it? Do they lose it?
No, we accumulate up to 960 hours for full-time and 480 hours for half-time.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, this particular policy and many other ones it's a way for us to incorporate, given the changes in the moving from monthly to biweekly and changing how hours are accumulated. It doesn't really change the overall number per se, but how it's tracked and dispersed within the system throughout the year. There are no further questions. Teresa, please, roll call vote. Oh, do we have a question?
I think-
Oh, we don't have a motion?
No, not yet.
Okay, sorry, we went to questions beforehand. I'll take a first and second.
So moved.
No.
Did you say you had questions?
I do, but I'll wait for the motion.
Yeah, let's have first and second motion. Okay, first and seconded. Now, any questions?
Yeah.
And most
I have a
of our
couple.
policies, most of these policies are based on similar federal allocations for holiday, for sick days, and it's based on that. If anyone's wondering where these are based upon. Go ahead, any questions?
I have a couple of questions. One, I'm assuming full-time is a static number.
Yes, it's 40 hours. It's 40 hours a week, unless they work less, which may happen from time to time, particularly like if someone is on some type of unpaid leave, like unpaid medical leave, FMLA leave, intermittent FMLA leave.
So since you mentioned that, if I'm on bereavement
Yes.
for 3 weeks,
Yes.
do I get paid sick pay?
No.
Can employees use sick pay in the period that it is earned?
It has to be it can't be, it has to be the next, so not until it's accredited. So
Accredited payroll.
yeah, so it gets credited at the next payroll day.
Then my last question.
Yeah.
We can accumulate 960 hours. How much, when people terminate, what happens?
If they have 3 years or more of eligible service, so benefits eligible service, the 50% of their sick leave bank is paid out at termination.
And if it's less than 3 years? So
I have a question about process.
Yeah.
Actually, about on the vote procedure. I think we said we're going to have a first reading, second reading. Is that? In my history,
Yes.
that means you have a separate meeting for that second vote. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. But I noticed the chair was talking about a first motion and second motion, and I think it's just a move to adopt second. And that takes care of that vote, and then it has to come back and have the second reading. Is that correct?
Yes.
You, actually, that has been my error, Ron. It comes from the committee, so it doesn't need a second. You are correct.
I think you guys are talking about two different things.
I think so.
Yes. But yeah.
But it just takes two, before this to be passed, it has two separate votes at two separate meetings.
separate board?
Yes.
Yes.
You are correct.
Not committee meetings, board meetings.
Well, at
Board
least that's,
No, I'm just adding the word just to make sure that that's what you meant.
Yes, that is correct. Any other questions on this particular motion? Okay, Teresa, roll call vote, please.
Joyce Virgo,
Yes.
Gordon Cook,
Yes.
Bob Johnson,
Aye.
Mr. Michael Lazio, Gordon Maloney,
Yes.
Dr. Yummy Pandolfi,
Aye.
Mr. Brent Schondelmeyer,
Yes.
Ms. Noel Stepp.
Aye.
Mr. Rumpke, Ms. Rita Weeks,
Yes.
Dr. Susan Wilson, Michelle Whitehouse.
And the last one, policy number 348, which is vacation leave. In order to accommodate the bi-weekly payroll, we're recommending a similar accrual method here. We want to set the accrual rate per hour paid work instead of per month. We also are recommending that the accrual balance cap be set to a rolling perpetual cap rather than a twice a year rebalance cap. Previous to 2021, we were at a once a year rebalance cap, which causes some issues with scheduling and accumulated balances. In 2021, we moved to a twice a year rebalance cap in March and September. And we are recommending moving to a perpetual cap, which means that there isn't accumulation beyond the cap unless the employee uses paid leave. MCPL leadership values paid vacation as a benefit and wants the policy to incentivize staff to take their vacation as PTO throughout the year instead of banking amounts that make certain times of year difficult for scheduling, cause some staff to lose vacation hours, and also tax on additional dollars that are paid out at the end of someone's tenure. The rolling cap then will also align the vacation leave policy with the sick leave policy. You see the current policy there, and then the replacement there. The difference between this one and personnel committee is the more precise number of accrued hours per paid hour, so that gets closer to that amount, that annual amount. We did stipulate that overtime hours are not included in accumulating and calculating accrued vacation. Or the replacement policy being there at the end. The wording for the accrual cap just says an employee's vacation credit balance may not exceed the employee's current maximum annual vacation accrual rate at any time.
Thank you, Jennifer. Since I've done it for the other 5 motions, I'll take a first and a second.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions on this? I do not believe there's any fiscal impact. Right, Jennifer?
How long is if I can ask, but how long is this vacation accrual policy been in place?
Well, longer than 20 years. That's all that I know is that if you mean the cap or the.
No, just the steps.
The steps that are in place.
I only asked because the second level, going to 3 weeks after 2 years, and I'm just speaking from private industry and experience is higher than what I see in private industry.
It's been at that level as long as I've been here, and that's all that I can really speak to. We did look at total rewards, including PTO, in 2016 when we did our compensation study that year. And when they do that, they compare us to, school districts, governmental entities, and we align with that. But that's as long as 20 years. Anybody here like 20 years that can speak to before that? Where's Brian?
Brian's our
I know it's been that way as long as I've been on the board, and that has been 20 years as well.
I've been here for almost 40 years and it's been that way.
So there you go. We were invented, I'm guessing.
But I will tell you, the last time we actually updated the policy, just give me a second.
It's 2019.
It's recently, 2019.
Well, it was 2021 for the cap. But we didn't touch anything that has to do with the rules.
Any further questions? Hearing none.
Hold on. What's our typo thing? On your part-time, you have 60 hours, 3 weeks? Or is that 3 weeks?
That's half time.
That's half.
Yeah. Yeah, the half-time employees work exactly 20.
Okay. No further questions. Teresa, can you do a roll call vote?
Justin Virgo.
Yes.
Mr. Gordon Cook.
Yes.
Mr. Bob Johnson.
Aye.
Mr. Michael Lazio.
Aye.
Ms. Lori Lemunion.
Yes.
Dr. Yummy Pandolfi.
Aye.
Mr. Brent Schandelmeyer.
Yes.
Ms. Noel Step.
Yes.
Mr. Rama Thies. Ms. Rita Weiss.
Yes.
Dr. Susan Wilson.
Yes.
Ms. Michelle Wyckoff.
Hey, Michelle just texted me. They've got storms up there and she lost her connection.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Motion passed.
Well, thank you, everybody, for going through that individually and helping us to update our policies. At this point, I'll turn it back to Aaron, or actually back to our board president. Sorry.
Thank you, Jennifer. I know a lot of effort and commitment was put into this, and it's much appreciated. The announcements.
Yes, we need to go back to item 7.1.
It's another one? Yeah. Okay.
Oh, so what we're proposing here is that we meet in August for the purpose of the second reading. The reason being is we want to give you a chance to think about these policies, if there's any revisions needed. And we do a final vote in August, and we're proposing a virtual meeting. Not going to bring you in here, in which we can do a second reading of the policies we just reviewed. And if all goes as planned, we'll be able to enact them the following month and make our switch to biweekly payroll in the month of October. So the motion here is asking that you give us a few minutes of your time to do a second reading of our policy changes, and that would be in the month of August.
Well, I'm sorry. Actually, this vote was to cancel the August meeting. I don't believe we need to do anything if we're gonna have a meeting. This was to cancel it if we're gonna cancel the meeting. Additionally, we have canceled well, we are required to meet 10 times a year. So we have traditionally canceled generally the August and the December meetings. So this would have appeared on here, but this appeared on here before the person says I'm reading the policy. So we don't need to do anything with this motion.
All right.
Kind of set. If we need.
What was that?
I said there may be a finance item with the RFP that we have to address.
So if we're gonna meet, we just need.
Sorry.
But we are saying that if we meet, we prefer to meet virtually.
Yes. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Question on virtually. I don't have a camera, so you mean the phone can be used?
Yeah, online.
Well, no. Well, I don't have a camera on my desktop. So, I mean, I can deal with voice any way you want to deal with.
Yeah, we'll just do by voice.
I'm not going to go buy a camera. Just
Okay.
not
We
this.
can loan you one if you want.
Well, that's right. I could probably go to Colton Road and get one. That's probably, or I could go to Colton Road.
We'll be here, you can come here.
That's fine.
We're not saying you can't come, you're invited anytime.
Just want you to know that I'm the only person here in the room that doesn't have a camera on my desk.
You can use your phone.
Stay strong.
Yeah, the phone is fine. That's a voice item I can deal with. That's fine. All right. Thank you.
Okay, next topic is the trustees' comments, and if I may start off with that, I'd like to mention two things. First of all, at a previous committee meeting, a very wise comment or recommendation was made that when the library sends out a request for a proposal, if there is no response, that may merit some investigation as to why. For example, if the organization doesn't have adequate staffing or the request is outside their area of expertise, that's entirely understandable. But if the feedback could be something to the library's policies or maybe perception of the library, I think that would be good information for us to gather and apply as the reply is fitting. The other comment I have is I'd like to follow up on what Aaron had mentioned about Brent's service. He obviously has 2 decades of really quite selfless commitment to the library. For those of us who've been in the library, board of trustees for 5 years or so, we've seen him manage and oversee the building committee. And prior to that, he served in every single leadership and governance position of the library, which is quite outstanding. And except for my marriage and my religion, I can't imagine being on anything for 20 years. And he's done so just absolutely with great commitment and friendship and loyalty to the library and the board. And about 850,000 other people use it. So we wish you all the very best. And please don't be a stranger. Thank you very, very much, Brian.
Thank you. I asked Ron for a point kind of personal privilege, and I just thought I'd share some. I'm going to go to the podium because this is how I will be appearing to you in the future, or rather than from my desk. I have no pretty pictures, but I do have some thoughts. Let me be brief and a few reflections about, it's 20 years about being on the Metropolitan Library Board. Make sure to read a book, attend a library program, or access our extraordinary online resources regularly. Visit a library branch other than your home branch. There are truly lots of choices and we serve different communities. Have you been to Grandview, Dearborn, or Lone Jack? Take a day trip and drop by. Have an early morning coffee at a branch with a coffee bar. Green Hills, Woodneath, or Colburn, so you can watch the doors open at 8 a.m. Excuse me, at 9 a.m., sorry. That would have had additional cost. I would have been scheduled at 9 a.m. But you know, just sit there and just watch what happens at 9 a.m. Join library lovers. Surely you love libraries. Be willing to collaborate and share leadership. Make space and room for everyone. The ones in the room already, and those who will join you in the days and years ahead. Focus on the future. Much attention and effort has gone into dissecting the Proposition L building program. I reviewed the board votes board votes on Proposition L building program, and here's what I report. There were 17 separate board votes on different work packages between 2018 and 2023. All the board votes were unanimous with the exception of Riverside. So that's 167 yes votes in favor of the projects and 2 against, and we proceed. When I came on the library board, there was a board training session on the role of the library trustee. I remember the trainer's pointed comment, "You're not a potted plant." Frankly, I never thought of myself that way, but let it be said, I am not a potted plant. Rather, I believe good things have been planted by our collective efforts and those of prior trustees, which hopefully will flourish and grow. But watering is required. To be a good library trustee and all of that, and try to be a good library trustee and all that implies. We're not a management board, either by state statute or by library policy. Support the staff. They are talented, capable, care deeply about the libraries. They deserve our respect. Use this next year to assess the impact of the voluntary reduction on the library system and the need to restore it in the next fiscal year. Plan on seeing me when those discussions resume. Pay attention to tax increment financing projects. Major development projects are currently expiring after 23 years, the legal limit. Library funds, which developers use for their projects, now are due to us. This is not spare change you discover in your couch, but potentially substantial funds. I remain a fierce advocate for libraries and hope to work with others to highlight the freedom to read and Library Bill of Rights. These are important documents and library values which are found in our own board policies, but also in my researches in the Kansas City Library, the Johnson County Library, Kansas City, Kansas Library, and the Olathe Library. And probably most importantly, watch the recent Ninja interview of Aaron Mason. I've asked him to share it with you because if you wonder why you're on the library board, watch it and watch it again and again. Thank you for indulging me and thanks for allowing me to participate in the way that I know how to participate and do participate. Thank you, and thank you. And I hope I can continue to receive a copy of the MCPL monthly library report. Thank you.
The video that he referenced was a joy to make, but if you don't know what he's referring to, sat for an interview with a group of young ladies at the Woodneath branch. It was recorded and played at the Legacy Luncheon. We will share a link so you all can enjoy it. But it was a very interesting experience and I got a lot out of it. So. Very good. Yeah, thank you.
Any trustees' comments?
Yeah, I'd just like to add one thing. Thanks again, Brent, for your 20+ years of service. Everything I learned from you along the way. Thank you.
This is Joycelyn. Okay. Go ahead, Brent.
I tell you. I defer to Joyce.
I just want to say that 20 years ago, Brent, John Laney, and I all joined the board pretty much at the same time. I've enjoyed learning and growing and serving with all the board members throughout the years, but particularly those two because we have we've been here a long time, and I will miss Brent's wisdom and Brent's unique ability to communicate and to listen. And I hope this board continues the communication and listening model that we've seen for the last 20 years. And Brent, I believe that you can really retire now if you choose to do so, but I assume you will pick something else up. Farewell, my friend, but it's not really goodbye.
I obviously didn't communicate very well because I should share that my resignation was only for August 1st because I anticipated no August board meeting. So my vote that I cast tonight on the first reading, I hope you would share that sentiment because I won't be here to vote for the second reading. And I cannot tell you it's the prerogative of the county executive when somebody might be appointed to replace me. I did not say that, so this is truly my last board meeting because my official resignation date is August 1st.
Any comments from the trustees? Okay, next matter is a vote on adjournments. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye.